There comes a moment in your life when you realize you've been giving your energy to everything except yourself. You've tried to fix people who were never ready. You've chased approval that never mattered. You've run behind opportunities that were not yours. And the more you scattered your focus, the more life felt heavy, confusing, and unfair. But something extraordinary happens the moment you pull your energy back, the moment you stop chasing and start choosing yourself. Life shifts, paths open. Doors that ignored you begin to unlock, not because the world changed, but because you finally did. In Buddhism, they say, the one who masters himself becomes impossible to defeat. And today, you will understand why the day you focus on you, the world quietly rearranges itself in your favor. 1. The path clears when you stop walking in every direction. There is a quiet but heavy kind of suffering that grows inside you when your life is controlled by what other people expect from you. It happens slowly. First, you change a small thing to please someone. Then you adjust another part of yourself to avoid judgment. Soon, you begin living for the approval of others without even noticing it. Their opinions become louder than your own thoughts. Their dreams overshadow your desires. Their judgments make you doubt your worth. And before you realize it, you are no longer walking your own path. You are being dragged in 10 different directions that were never meant for you. When you live this way, your mind becomes foggy because you are trying to focus on too many things at once. One moment you move in one direction to impress someone. The next moment, you run the opposite way to avoid disappointing another person. It feels like you are busy, but you are not progressing. You are only spinning in circles, exhausted and confused. This is why life feels heavy. Not because you are weak, but because you are carrying too many expectations that do not belong to you. Buddhism teaches that clarity is born from simplicity. When your mind is scattered, even simple decisions feel impossible. But when you cut away the noise, when you stop trying to be everything for everyone, something beautiful happens. Your real path begins to appear. You begin to see what truly matters to you, not what impresses the world, not what pleases others, but what aligns with your soul. The moment you choose yourself, truly choose yourself, everything begins to change. You stop chasing 10 different things and finally walk toward one direction with intention. You stop forcing doors that drain your energy and start paying attention to the ones that quietly open for you. Opportunities don't suddenly appear out of nowhere. They were always there. But for the first time, your mind is still enough, quiet enough, and focused enough to recognize them. A mind that is focused becomes calm because it is no longer fighting against itself. And a calm mind becomes powerful because it is no longer distracted by unnecessary noise. When you achieve this inner stillness, your energy shifts, and life responds to that shift. You start attracting the right people, the right chances, the right guidance, not by force, but by alignment. This is the secret. You are not lost. You are simply divided. And the moment you stop walking in every direction, the path in front of you becomes clear, steady, and full of doors you were always meant to walk through. 2. The world rewards those who master their inner world. So many people spend their lives trying to change the world around them while completely ignoring the world within them. They blame circumstances, people, timing, and even fate for their struggles, thinking life is unfair to them. But Buddhism teaches a truth that many avoid for years. Nothing outside of you will ever fall into place until the inside of you stops being chaotic. The world does not open for a mind filled with fear, confusion, insecurity, or self-doubt. It opens for the person who has learned to calm their inner storms. When your mind is unsettled, everything in life feels harder. Small problems feel big. Simple tasks feel overwhelming. Conversations feel draining. Opportunities feel threatening. You take everything personally because your inner foundation is shaky. Your thoughts jump from worry to worry, never allowing you to breathe. In this state, even blessings can pass right in front of you, and you won't recognize them because your inner world is too noisy to see clearly. But the moment you turn inward and start mastering yourself, everything in your outer life begins to transform. When you work on your thoughts, your habits, your reactions, your emotional patterns, and your inner peace, life starts responding differently to you. You stop seeing problems as punishments and start seeing them as lessons. You stop running from challenges and start rising to meet them. You stop depending on people to make you feel whole because you finally learn to create wholeness within yourself. Mastering your inner world does not mean becoming emotionless. It means understanding your emotions instead of being controlled by them. It means learning to pause instead of reacting instantly. It means training your mind to stay steady when life tries to shake you. It means choosing discipline over comfort, growth over avoidance, and patience over panic. This is inner mastery, and the universe respects it deeply. As your inner world becomes calmer, your decisions become clearer. When your heart is no longer filled with fear, you start noticing opportunities that were invisible before. When your thoughts are organized, creativity flows. When your emotions are balanced, relationships improve. When your intentions are pure, the path becomes smoother. Life begins to align not because everything suddenly becomes easier, but because you become stronger, wiser, and more in control of yourself. This is why doors open for those who master their inner world. People who carry chaos inside them attract more chaos, but people who cultivate peace, clarity, and discipline attract stability, wisdom, and blessings. The world opens its greatest doors to those who no longer seek escape from themselves, but instead choose to understand and elevate themselves. In the end, remember this: the greatest battle you will ever fight is the one inside your own mind. But once you win there, once you learn to direct your thoughts and emotions, instead of letting them direct you, life stops resisting you and starts cooperating with you. The outside world becomes a reflection of the strength you built within. 3. Solitude makes you dangerous in the best way. Most people misunderstand solitude. They think being alone means being unwanted, unloved, or left behind. They fear silence because silence forces them to face the thoughts they've been running from. They fear being alone because they have tied their identity to the presence of others. But Buddhism teaches something entirely different. Solitude is not a punishment. Solitude is a sacred space where transformation happens. It is in solitude that you rediscover who you truly are, when the world is not pulling you in 100 directions. When you are surrounded by people all the time, even the well-meaning ones, your energy becomes scattered. You absorb their emotions, their fears, their expectations, their noise. You start living a life that is shaped by the opinions around you rather than the wisdom within you. And without even realizing it, you become disconnected from your own spirit. You forget what you want. You forget what matters. You forget the sound of your inner voice. Solitude is what brings you back to yourself. It strips away the distractions and allows your mind, your heart, and your intuition to reconnect. The reason solitude makes you dangerous, in the most beautiful, powerful way, is because it sharpens you. When you step away from the noise, your mind becomes clearer. You see patterns you never noticed before. You understand people more deeply because you finally understand yourself. You begin recognizing what drains your energy and what nourishes it. You begin seeing who genuinely cares for you and who only clings to you out of convenience. Solitude exposes truth, and once you see truth, you can never unsee it. In solitude, your emotional strength grows because you stop depending on others to calm your storms. You learn to soothe your own heart, to pick yourself back up, to motivate yourself, to guide your own decisions. This kind of inner strength is rare, and that is why it becomes powerful. A person who can stand alone is a person who cannot be manipulated. A person who is comfortable in silence is not afraid of losing people. A person who knows how to enjoy their own company never settles for relationships or friendships that drain them. This is the power of solitude. When you embrace solitude, creativity awakens within you. New ideas emerge. New dreams form. You become more disciplined because there is no one distracting your focus. You become more self-aware because you actually have the space to reflect on your actions, your habits, and your patterns. All the growth that the world applauds publicly is born in the quiet, private hours of solitude. Every breakthrough, every moment of clarity, every deep realization happens when the mind is no longer drowning in noise. But perhaps the greatest gift of solitude is confidence. When you spend enough time alone, you begin to understand your worth without needing anyone else to confirm it. You start walking with a different kind of energy, calm, steady, self-assured. You no longer chase people because you know that real connections will never require begging. You no longer fight to be seen because you finally see yourself. And when you reach this level of inner certainty, life opens doors that were closed to you before simply because you were too insecure to walk through them. Solitude does not make you cold, it makes you wise. It does not make you distant, it makes you selective. It does not make you emotionless, it makes your emotions deeper and more authentic. Solitude transforms you into someone who is centered, grounded, and strong. Someone who is no longer lost in the world because they have found a home within themselves. So choose solitude when you need it. Do not run from it. Do not fear it. Walk into it with intention, because solitude is not emptiness. Solitude is where you meet the strongest, most peaceful, most powerful version of yourself, the version the world was waiting for. When you stop pleasing others, you start respecting yourself. So many people spend years, sometimes their entire lives, trying to be who others want them to be. They adjust their personality, their habits, their speech, even their dreams, just to be accepted, appreciated, or understood. They live like mirrors, reflecting whatever others want to see. And while on the outside this may look peaceful or polite, inside it creates a deep, silent suffering. Because every time you change yourself just to fit in, a small part of your true self fades away. The more you try to please others, the more you lose connection to your own identity. People-pleasing feels harmless at first. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree when you disagree. You stay quiet to avoid conflict. You shrink your needs to make others comfortable. You give more than you receive. And you convince yourself it is kindness. But Buddhism teaches that true kindness cannot exist without boundaries. A kindness that destroys your peace is not kindness, it is self-betrayal. When you constantly try to avoid disappointing others, you end up disappointing yourself, and that is the deepest wound a person can carry. As long as you try to please everyone, your life will never feel like it belongs to you. You will feel drained, because you are investing your energy into places where it is not respected. You will feel invisible because you are hiding your real self behind a mask. You will feel empty because people are valuing the version of you that is not authentic. And you will feel confused because you no longer know what you want, only what others expect from you. But something powerful happens the moment you stop trying to please people and start living with honesty and intention. Your self-respect begins to rise. You begin recognizing that your feelings matter just as much as the feelings of those around you. You realize your time is valuable, your boundaries are valid, and your voice deserves to be heard. And the more you respect yourself, the more your life begins to straighten itself out. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is the understanding that you are not required to destroy your peace to keep others comfortable. You are not here to be molded by the opinions of others. You are not alive just to be liked. When you stop acting out of fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of losing people, you start acting from a place of truth. And truth has a different energy. It is calm, it is steady, it is powerful. When you stop pleasing everyone, people's reactions reveal who truly belongs in your life. Those who cared only about what you could give them will distance themselves. Those who valued your silence will become uncomfortable. Those who benefited from your lack of boundaries will resist your change. Let them go. Their departure is not a loss, it is freedom, because the people who belong in your life will appreciate your honesty, your boundaries, and your authenticity. They will respect you more, not less. As you stop pleasing others, something beautiful begins to happen within you. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly again. You remember your dreams. You understand your feelings. You develop your own preferences. You learn to trust your intuition. And for the first time in a long time, you feel like you are living your own life, not the life others expect from you. This shift creates a powerful transformation. Your energy changes. You walk with more confidence. You speak with more intention. You make decisions based on what aligns with your soul. You become harder to manipulate, harder to mislead, and harder to break. And life opens doors for people who walk with that kind of strength. Because when you respect yourself, you stop chasing validation and start attracting people and opportunities that match your self-worth. People often fear that choosing themselves will make them lonely. But the real loneliness comes from abandoning yourself to keep others happy. When you choose yourself, you may lose a few people, but you will find yourself. And when you find yourself, you gain a level of peace, clarity, and inner strength that no crowd could ever give you. This is the truth. You cannot live a meaningful life while trying to please everyone. You cannot discover your purpose while living as a shapeshifter. You cannot grow while constantly shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. The moment you stop trying to be liked by everyone is the moment you start being respected first by yourself and then by the world. So let people misunderstand you. Let them disagree. Let them walk away if they must. Your purpose is not to be accepted, it is to be authentic. And when you stand in your authenticity with self-respect, life begins to open doors that were always meant for the real you. 5. Consistency turns invisible progress into visible breakthroughs. One of the biggest reasons people feel stuck in life is because they expect instant results from actions that are meant to grow slowly. They want transformation without patience, success without discipline, and clarity without effort. They give up too quickly, not realizing that real progress is often invisible in the beginning. Buddhism teaches that every meaningful change starts quietly, like a seed buried beneath the soil. The world may not see it, but inside, something powerful is forming. And this inner formation depends entirely on one thing: consistency. Consistency is not about doing something huge all at once. It is about showing up again and again, even on the days when it feels boring, slow, or unrewarding. It is about choosing growth over comfort, not once, but repeatedly. Most people start strong but lose motivation when they don't see instant results. They doubt themselves, thinking nothing is happening. But the truth is, the most important changes happen before you ever notice them. Your habits begin reshaping your identity long before the world sees evidence of your evolution. Think about how water shapes stone. It is not through force, but through repeated gentle pressure over time. That is how consistency works in your life. Every small action compounds. Every day you stay committed adds another layer to your strength. Every quiet effort stacks onto the previous one, slowly building something remarkable. Even when you don't feel different, your actions are changing you internally. Your discipline is growing. Your mind is becoming sharper. Your emotional resilience is expanding. Your spirit is getting stronger. This is progress, even if you can't see it yet. The journey of consistency also teaches humility and inner peace. It trains your mind to stop chasing instant gratification and start appreciating long-term growth. It helps you understand that success is not a sudden event, but the result of countless small decisions. You meditate one day and nothing changes, but after months, your mind becomes calmer. You exercise regularly and don't see changes for weeks, but one day you look back and realize you've become stronger. You study daily and feel confused, but slowly your knowledge deepens. This is how consistency transforms your life. It works silently until it becomes undeniable. When you are consistent, you build trust with yourself. You start to believe in your own ability to follow through, and that belief becomes a powerful force. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack the patience to stick with something long enough to see results. Consistency creates the inner confidence that says, "I can rely on myself." And when you trust yourself, fear loses its power over you. Doubt loses its voice. You become steady, reliable, disciplined qualities that open doors in every part of life. Consistency also protects you from emotional highs and lows. When your effort is steady, you no longer panic when things go wrong. You no longer feel discouraged by slow progress. You understand that every day is a brick, and every brick builds your future. You stop comparing your journey to others, because you know your transformation is internal and personal. And as your discipline grows, life begins to reward you in ways you never expected. Opportunities come to those who prepare quietly, not those who chase loudly. There is another reason consistency is so powerful. It rewires your mind. Every time you repeat an action, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with that behavior. Slowly, the action becomes natural, almost automatic. This is how good habits become part of your identity. You don't just practice discipline, you become disciplined. You don't just seek growth, you become someone who grows naturally. You don't just try to stay focused, you become a focused person. Identity changes happen through repetition, and identity changes create breakthrough moments. Breakthroughs are rarely sudden. They are the result of hidden progress that accumulated over weeks, months, or years. One day, everything clicks. Something that once felt impossible now feels natural. People look at you and think you transformed overnight. But you know the truth. The foundation was laid quietly, patiently, consistently. What looked like an overnight success was simply the moment your invisible efforts became visible to the world. And here is the beautiful thing about choosing consistency. You no longer depend on motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. But consistency is a decision, a commitment to yourself. Even when you are tired, distracted, or discouraged, you take one more step. Even when the results are not visible, you stay patient. Even when progress feels slow, you trust the process. And life always rewards those who trust the process. Consistency is your silent superpower. It doesn't shout, it doesn't boast, and it doesn't demand attention, but it builds strength, character, resilience, and wisdom. And when the time is right, it creates breakthroughs so powerful that even you are surprised by how far you've come. So keep going, keep showing up, keep planting seeds. Consistency is not about perfection, it is about refusing to give up on yourself. And the moment you understand this, the doors that once felt impossible to open will begin to unlock one by one. Letting go. Create space for better things to arrive. One of the greatest sources of suffering in life is our attachment to things that no longer belong in our journey. We hold on to people who have already let go of us. We cling to situations that drain us, hoping they will magically improve. We stay loyal to versions of ourselves that no longer represent who we are becoming. We grip tightly to old memories, old expectations, old dreams, and old identities because they feel familiar, even when they no longer bring us peace. This attachment weighs us down, and without realizing it, we become stuck emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is clinging, and yet, letting go is one of the hardest lessons a human being ever has to learn. Letting go feels scary because it forces you into the unknown. The mind naturally prefers the comfort of what it already understands, even if that comfort is painful. You tell yourself, maybe things will get better. Maybe they will change. Maybe I can fix this. But deep inside, you already know when something is no longer aligned with your spirit. You can feel it in your energy. You can feel it in your intuition. You can feel it in the heaviness of your heart. But because the mind fears loss, it convinces you to keep holding on, even when it costs you your peace. The truth is, not everything you love is meant to stay. Not every person you meet is meant to walk beside you forever. Not every opportunity is meant to be pursued. Some things enter your life only to teach you, prepare you, strengthen you, or awaken you. Once their purpose is complete, life begins nudging you to let go. And the longer you resist, the more suffering you create for yourself. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means accepting that certain chapters have ended, and holding on to them will only block the new chapters waiting to unfold. Think of a tree in autumn. When the leaves have completed their cycle, the tree does not fight to keep them. It lets them fall naturally, without resistance, without fear, without attachment. The tree understands that letting go does not weaken it. In fact, it makes space for new growth in the spring. You are the same. Every time you release something that has finished its purpose, you make room for something better, something more aligned, something that matches who you are becoming rather than who you used to be. When you cling to what is gone, you carry unnecessary weight. Old friendships that no longer uplift you, relationships that drain your spirit, environments that stifle your growth, habits that harm you, fears that keep you frozen. All of these things occupy space in your life and in your heart. And as long as you hold on to them, your hands remain too full to receive anything new. Life cannot give you blessings if you are already filled with burdens. The universe cannot open new doors when you are still staring at the one that closed. Letting go is not an instant process. It is a slow, intentional unlearning. You unlearn the belief that you owe everyone your loyalty. You unlearn the idea that your worth is tied to how much you suffer for others. You unlearn the habit of clinging because of memories instead of the reality in front of you. You unlearn the fear that if you release something, you will be empty. Buddhism teaches that emptiness is not a void. It is potential. It is the open space where new blessings can land. Emptiness is not something to fear. It is something to welcome. The moment you begin letting go, even if only little by little, your energy starts to change. The heaviness lifts, the fog clears, your breath becomes deeper, your mind becomes lighter. You begin to feel more like yourself. You start noticing how much mental space you wasted on things you could never control. You realize how much emotional strength you lost trying to hold together what was already breaking. And with this awareness, you begin to value yourself more. You begin to understand that your peace is too precious to sacrifice for anything or anyone who disrupts it. Letting go teaches you to trust life again. It teaches you that if something is meant for you, you will not have to force it, beg for it, or suffer for it. It will align naturally. It will stay willingly. It will grow with you. And if something leaves, it only creates space for something better to arrive. Life becomes easier when you stop fighting its flow. When you stop gripping the past with fear, the future begins approaching with grace. And here is the deepest truth. Letting go is an act of self-love. It is choosing your peace over your attachment. It is choosing growth over comfort. It is choosing faith over fear. It is choosing to honor your path, even if it means walking away from people, places, and experiences that once meant everything to you. This courage transforms you. You become stronger, wiser, more centered, and more aligned with your purpose. So let go not because you are weak, but because you are finally strong enough to release what weighs you down. Let go not because you don't care, but because you care about your peace more. Let go not because you want to erase the past, but because you are ready to open the door to a future that is brighter, calmer, lighter, and far more aligned with who you are becoming. Life cannot bring you what is meant for you until you create space for it. And the moment you release what no longer serves your soul, the universe begins moving mountains to bring you what does. 7. When you become the source of your own strength, nothing can stop you. There comes a point in every person's life when they must face a difficult but liberating truth. No one can save you from yourself. No one can carry your fears, silence your doubts, build your discipline, or walk your path for you. People can inspire you, support you, encourage you, but the real work must be done by your own hands, inside your own mind, within your own heart. This realization can feel overwhelming at first, because it means you are responsible for your own growth. But it also becomes one of the most empowering truths you will ever learn. Because the moment you decide to become the source of your own strength, you become unstoppable. For most of life, people search outside themselves for support. They depend on others for validation, for motivation, for comfort, for direction. They wait for someone to push them, guide them, or rescue them. And while this is natural, it is also dangerous. Because the moment your strength depends on someone else, your strength is fragile. It collapses the moment they walk away, grow distant, or change. When your confidence depends on someone's approval, you lose it the moment they stop giving it. When your peace depends on others behaving perfectly, you lose it the moment life becomes difficult. This is why so many people feel lost. They never learned how to be their own foundation. Buddhism teaches that true power comes from within. It is not loud, arrogant, or forceful. It is calm, steady, and rooted. When you stop expecting others to hold you together, you begin stitching your life with your own hands. You begin choosing discipline even when no one notices. You begin practicing patience even when no one appreciates it. You begin setting boundaries even when others dislike it. You begin healing yourself even when no one understands your pain. And slowly, quietly, without any dramatic moment, you begin transforming into someone who cannot be easily shaken. When you become the source of your own strength, your relationship with the world changes. You stop expecting too much from others, and this frees you from disappointment. You stop depending on people emotionally, and this gives you emotional stability. You stop fearing loneliness because you learn how to be whole on your own. You stop chasing validation because you finally understand your worth. And when your worth comes from within, no one can take it away from you. Think about a mountain. Storms come, winds howl, rain pours, lightning strikes, but the mountain remains unmoved because its strength comes from deep within its foundation. When your inner strength is rooted in discipline, self-awareness, compassion, and clarity, you become like that mountain. Life will still bring challenges. People will still disappoint you. Circumstances might still test you, but you will not collapse. Because you are anchored in yourself. Becoming your own source of strength also means understanding your weaknesses, not judging them, not hiding them, but facing them with courage. You begin recognizing the patterns that sabotage you. You understand why you react the way you do. You take responsibility for your healing. You stop blaming your past and start building your future. This level of honesty with yourself is rare, but it is what creates unshakable power. A person who knows their weaknesses can transform them. A person who denies their weaknesses remains controlled by them. As your inner strength grows, your energy shifts. You begin walking differently, calmer, more aware, more grounded. You stop engaging in unnecessary conflicts because your peace matters more than winning arguments. You stop forcing relationships because you understand that what is meant for you will stay without pressure. You stop worrying about outcomes because you trust your ability to adapt and overcome. Your confidence becomes quiet but unbreakable. Your presence becomes strong without needing to be loud. Opportunities begin appearing not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you are finally ready to handle them. Doors that once intimidated you now seem possible. Challenges that once frightened you now feel manageable. The world responds differently to people who carry themselves with inner strength. Life opens to those who have learned how to open themselves. And here is the most profound part. When you become the source of your own strength, you free yourself from fear. Fear of losing people, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of starting over. Because you know that no matter what happens, you have yourself, your resilience, your discipline, your clarity, your wisdom. You become your own anchor, your own protector, your own guide. You stop waiting for someone to save you, because you finally understand that you were capable all along. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself or refuse help. It means you know how to stand even when no one offers their hand. It means you know how to continue even when others stop believing in you. It means your growth is no longer dependent on the approval, attention, or presence of anyone else. You walk your path with purpose, not because someone is clapping for you, but because you have chosen to rise. This is the ultimate transformation. When you shift from hoping for strength to becoming strength, from searching for direction to embodying direction, from relying on others to relying on your own inner foundation. When you become your own source of strength, life stops feeling like something that happens to you and begins feeling like something you are actively shaping. And once you reach this state, nothing can truly stop you, because the world cannot break a person who no longer breaks themselves. Life cannot defeat a person who knows how to rise again and again, and no door will stay closed forever for someone who has learned how to knock with patience, walk with courage, and build with consistency. 8. Life expands the moment you stop shrinking yourself. One of the most painful things a person can do is live smaller than who they truly are. And yet, many people shrink themselves every single day, hiding their talents, minimizing their dreams, silencing their voice, and dimming their light just to avoid judgment, avoid conflict, avoid jealousy, or avoid standing out. They blend in even when they were born to stand apart. They walk quietly through life even when their soul was built to rise. This shrinking is not humility. It is fear disguised as politeness. And Buddhism teaches that any life lived in fear is a life unfulfilled. You shrink yourself when you doubt your worth. You shrink yourself when you accept less than you deserve. You shrink yourself when you apologize for things that require no apology. You shrink yourself when you hold back your gifts because you are scared others might not understand them. Over time, this constant self-shrinking becomes a habit. You begin to think small. You dream small. You speak small. You act small. And eventually, you forget the powerful potential that once lived inside you. But something extraordinary happens the moment you stop shrinking yourself. Life begins to expand around you. Doors you never noticed start appearing. Ideas you buried long ago begin resurfacing. Confidence that seemed impossible starts slowly building again. Because life does not respond to the version of you that is afraid, it responds to the version of you that is authentic, open, and bold enough to grow. Stepping into your full self doesn't mean being loud or arrogant. It means honoring your abilities, your dreams, your strengths, your curiosity, and your spirit. It means allowing yourself to evolve without guilt. It means showing up fully instead of selectively. It means understanding that the world benefits more from your light than from your silence. When you stop shrinking yourself, your energy changes. You begin to walk with a different presence, not because you are trying to impress anyone, but because you are no longer hiding. People feel this shift. Some will be inspired. Some will be threatened. Some will drift away because they preferred you small. Let them go. Not everyone is meant to accompany you into your expansion. Growth reveals who truly grows with you. As you expand, life begins to match your new level. Opportunities arise because you finally believe you are worthy of them. People treat you differently because you treat yourself differently. You attract higher quality friendships, deeper connections, and more meaningful experiences because your energy no longer whispers, "I am not enough." Instead, it says, "I am ready, I am deserving, I am willing." This expansion is not about ego, it is about alignment. It is about returning to the truth of who you are beneath the fear, beneath the expectations, beneath the conditioning that taught you to stay small. Somewhere inside you is a version that has always known you were meant for something bigger, something more aligned, more free, more fulfilling. Life begins expanding the moment you stop resisting that version, and this expansion requires courage. Courage to speak your truth without trembling, courage to take chances even when you doubt yourself, courage to release the people who preferred you weak, courage to step into opportunities that intimidate you, courage to rise even when failure is possible. Without courage, growth remains a dream. With courage, growth becomes your new reality. As you expand, you also begin to inspire others, not by preaching, but by simply being yourself. When people see you breaking old patterns, choosing yourself, setting boundaries, protecting your peace, creating something meaningful, or walking a path that aligns with your soul, they begin to believe they can do the same. Your expansion gives others permission to expand too. This is the ripple effect of authenticity. And here is the beautiful truth. Life does not punish expansion, it rewards it. The universe does not shrink around those who grow, it stretches with them. The more you rise, the more space life creates for you. The more you claim your worth, the more opportunities appear that match it. The more you express your true self, the more life aligns with your inner calling. You were never meant to live small. You were meant to grow, to learn, to evolve, to express your gifts, to contribute to the world in your own unique way. Shrinking yourself serves no one, not the world, not your family, not your destiny, and certainly not you. So allow yourself to expand, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Expand into the person you have always wanted to become. Expand into the dreams you once abandoned. Expand into the courage you have been hiding. Expand into the life that has been waiting for you. Because the moment you stop shrinking yourself, life stops shrinking with you and begins opening, widening, rising, and unfolding in ways you never imagined. 9. Your life transforms the moment you take responsibility for it. There comes a turning point in every person's journey when they must face a truth they have avoided for years. Your life will change only when you decide to change it, not when someone apologizes, not when circumstances magically improve, not when the world becomes easier. Growth begins the moment you stop blaming everything around you and take full responsibility for your path. This shift is not simple, but it is one of the most powerful transformations a human being can experience. Because when you stop waiting and start owning your life, you regain control over your destiny. Most people live in a state of quiet helplessness. They believe their happiness depends on what others do. They believe their future depends on luck or timing. They believe their emotional wounds can only heal when someone else finally gives them closure. They believe their success depends on external opportunities falling into their lap. This mindset keeps them trapped, repeating the same cycles year after year. And even though they desire change, they expect someone else to create it for them. But Buddhism teaches that liberation begins when you stop expecting the world to fix you and start working on yourself. Taking responsibility for your life does not mean blaming yourself for everything that has happened. It means accepting that your reactions, your choices, your habits, and your mindset shape the direction of your life. It means understanding that your healing is your job, your growth is your job, your discipline is your job, your peace is your job. No one else can carry these responsibilities for you. When you embrace this truth, you stop feeling powerless and start feeling capable. Every time you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop saying, "I can't help it," and start asking, "What can I do differently?" You stop waiting for motivation and start taking action even when it feels uncomfortable. You stop repeating old stories and start writing new ones. You stop running from your patterns and start facing them with honesty. This internal shift changes everything because your life is simply an outward reflection of your inner decisions. Responsibility also teaches you emotional maturity. You begin to recognize how your behaviors contribute to your problems. Instead of blaming others for your anger, you examine why you react that way. Instead of blaming life for your stagnation, you examine your habits. Instead of blaming people for hurting you, you examine the boundaries you allowed. This kind of honesty is not easy. It requires courage to see yourself clearly. But once you do, you become unstoppable because you are no longer a prisoner of unconscious patterns. When you take responsibility, excuses lose their power. You no longer say, "I don't have time," because you realize time is created, not found. You no longer say, "I'm just unlucky," because you understand that consistency attracts opportunity. You no longer say, "People always hurt me," because you start protecting your energy and choosing better relationships. You no longer say, "This is just who I am," because you recognize you have the ability to change. Accountability becomes your path to freedom. One of the most beautiful results of taking responsibility is the confidence it builds. When you know that you are in charge of your growth, fear begins to fade. You become less afraid of failure because you know you can try again. You become less afraid of mistakes because you know they can be corrected. You become less afraid of starting over because you know you can rebuild. Your confidence becomes rooted in your own efforts, not in the unpredictable actions of others. Taking responsibility also transforms your relationships. You stop blaming others for your unhappiness. You stop expecting people to fulfill needs you haven't learned to fulfill yourself. You stop entering relationships from a place of dependency. Instead, you show up as a whole, stable, grounded person, and whole people attract whole people. You begin forming connections built on respect, not need, because you are no longer seeking someone to complete you. You have already completed yourself. And perhaps the most profound impact of responsibility is how it affects your purpose. When you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start moving with the conditions you have, your life begins gaining momentum. You start projects you once feared. You take risks you once avoided. You learn skills you once doubted you could master. You become proactive rather than reactive. You begin shaping your life instead of surviving it. Your purpose reveals itself not through thinking, but through doing. Responsibility is not a burden, it is liberation. It frees you from waiting. It frees you from helplessness. It frees you from repeating the same painful cycles. It frees you from the illusion that your life is controlled by forces outside your influence. It places the steering wheel back in your hands, reminding you that you are capable of building, rebuilding, shifting, rising, healing, and evolving. This is why your life transforms the moment you take responsibility for it. You are no longer a passenger. You become the driver. You are no longer asking, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What can I learn from this?" You are no longer stuck in blame, but empowered by action, and life responds to people who take responsibility. It opens doors, presents opportunities, reveals solutions, and sends guidance, all because you finally stepped into your role as the creator of your own journey. When you take responsibility for your life, you unlock a truth that changes everything. You are not powerless. You never were. You simply needed to reclaim the parts of yourself you once gave away. When you look back at your life, you will notice something important. Every major breakthrough you ever experienced came from a moment when you finally chose yourself. when you stopped chasing, when you stopped begging, when you stopped pleasing, when you stopped shrinking, when you stopped blaming, when you stopped waiting for others to understand your worth. The doors that once refused to open suddenly unlocked, not because the world changed, but because you did. The real transformation in life does not begin with noise, applause, or dramatic events. It begins quietly, inside your own mind, the moment you decide to live with intention instead of habit, with courage instead of fear, with self-respect instead of self-sacrifice. Every step you take toward yourself brings you closer to the life meant for you. Every distraction you release creates space for clarity. Every boundary you set reinforces your dignity. Every act of discipline strengthens your character. Every moment of solitude deepens your wisdom. Every decision to grow brings life's blessings closer to you. Buddhism teaches that the world outside shifts only when the world inside becomes steady. And throughout this journey, you are learning to become steady. Steady in your purpose, steady in your focus, steady in your truth. You are learning that peace is not found by controlling everything around you. Peace is found by mastering what is within you. You are learning that strength is not loud. Strength is quiet, patient, and consistent. You are learning that letting go is not losing. Letting go is clearing the path for what is meant to arrive. You are learning that walking alone is not loneliness. Walking alone is choosing a path aligned with your soul instead of being pulled by the noise of the world. And as you grow, as you focus, as you discipline your mind and awaken your spirit, life begins to respond. The right people appear, the right lessons reveal themselves, the right opportunities unfold. Not because you chased them, but because your energy finally matches them. This is the secret many never understand. When you become aligned from within, the world becomes aligned around you. So walk forward, not with fear, but with clarity. Walk alone when you must, because solitude will strengthen you more than crowds ever could. Walk with intention, because intention shapes destiny. Walk with purpose, because purpose opens doors that force never will. And most importantly, walk with the understanding that everything you are seeking, peace, direction, growth, strength, opportunity, begins inside you. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are becoming. And the more you focus on yourself, your healing, your discipline, your evolution, the more life will rise to meet you. The doors you once knocked on will open. The paths you once doubted will reveal themselves. The blessings you once prayed for will arrive quietly, naturally, beautifully, because life opens for those who are ready. And when you choose to focus on yourself, you are telling the universe, I am ready now.